just want to say hello to everybody. Hey, I'm Hakeem Draper. I'm working with Brian. I've known Brian for almost 10 years now, as we've worked on several projects together. And this will be a new format that we will be adopting going forward, where weekly, Wednesdays at noon Eastern, we're going to make ourselves available. We're building a community and a marketplace of tools and utilities for you guys. And so it's important that we hear from you what your challenges are and how we can help and be more helpful in all of that. And so today's will be very casual, and going forward, what we'll do is we'll circulate beforehand, a couple days beforehand, a form for people to submit questions, just to make sure that as these start to pick up in attendance, we're answering everyone's questions. Meanwhile, appreciate everybody showing up, and we get to the question. We'll try and hang out for about the next hour and see how much we can answer. And
so this is all your classic data from people, businesses, homeowners, aged solar leads. And over here, we have custom databases, and this is the new piece that was put together. So now users have the ability in their white label side, if you hit this admin tab, to now license and resell other databases that people can upload on their own. So all of these are fields that are part of this data set. And I'm going to go back into where we put that together. So under the white label section here, there's a section called Marketplace. When you go to this Marketplace section, you have the ability to add a database. So that means you can upload data. You can now see all the databases that you have available that can be purchased from all the other vendors. And you can keep track of all the databases you purchased over here. So once you purchase a database from somebody, you can go off to the user and actually assign that database to the person. So I'm going to real quickly just assign it to me, and then I'll answer that question. So we have my account here. I just put in these new databases, and the one that I want to turn on is this solar one. So I just built this last night, and if everything went as planned, it should be already inside of the system. So I'm going to pick that one. I'm also going to pick merchant cash advance because this is a new one I just did as well. So now that those two are on, and I also turned the other ones off. So when I refresh, we'll be able to see them over here. So there's my merchant cash advance one. So every night we update them, and then they should import the next day. So here we are. We have 15,000 people that actually Googled solar. So you have the ability to connect with any of these vendors back here and actually either subscribe to the database, or you have the ability, like this guy's Simple Audience, right? He does everything with the intent audiences. So if people are Googling something, this, that, the other. So you would have the ability to go over to Simple Audience right here, and you can send them a message and say, do you have space? And he will have it. So this goes out, they get a notification, and you get an email of the chat. All of that appears under here. So they can now respond to you and have a dialogue back and forth. Once you have a database that you purchased, like I said, you can either assign it to the user specifically underneath customers and CRM by clicking the little database icon right here. Now, if the database is not assigned to your white label, it will not appear here. So all of these databases are appearing here because they're underneath the purchase database section. So the database has to be purchased in order for you to assign it to new users. Now, the other thing you can do is you can actually pre-build a plan with the specific database. So just like before, you have all the ad plans. We can call this vehicle accident. So I'm naming it live intent because people have been Googling the database that we're going to attach to this plan. So we can just, the default price, 1,000. Is I want to turn off all these other databases. So I don't want this person from motor vehicle accidents to see anything about B2B or homeowners. So they'll just have B2C. And I'm also going to add in the motor vehicle accident database. So now we can click that. I'm going to turn off the free trial over here to no. And now we hit add, and now there is a plan that will exist on our pricing page. And when we go to sign up for this plan, it will only have the database for the motor vehicle accidents. So once they hit the payment thing, and if it goes through successfully, they'll then be able to see this minus those databases, and they'll be able to find the motor vehicle accident database over in the custom databases feature. You'll be able to now pre-do any of the databases that you subscribe to. Give that about 7 days, that'll be out. And when you're selling this service, we'll go into how do you sell the service. So leads, in my opinion, are not a sexy item to sell. It it gives people more anxiety. It's like, oh, I have to go buy a car. Like no one I know enjoys buying a car. What we are going to do right now is we can go off, add a database. Now you don't actually have to add the database, but you can show your client that might be paying you a couple $1,000s a month. We're a professional IT service, and we just so happen to include leads with our service. So what are you going to do for your user in this instance? Well, we're going to go off and build a database for you. So you have the flexibility to make it sound really technical, which it is. It's not the average person can just go out and do this, but we're going to select the same exact table for merchant cash advance. When we go off and do this, you can show your user all these different technical math things: integer, boolean, string, date time. This is the stuff you can upsell and explain. Okay, I'm doing 1 column, 2 columns, 5 columns, and these are all different mixtures of ways you can really explain what value you're giving to them, and make it pretty easy to justify the price you're going to be charging them. So we can now go off. I'll name the database motor. Actually, no, I don't want to do motor vehicle accident. We'll call it landscaping. Actually, I'll do yours, Akeem. Music artists. So this is the database Akeem had us put up for him. People who are looking for vocal coaches. So it can be as niche as it needs to be for it to work. So now you can show your client, who you'll be selling the data to, that you would put this together custom for them. Really, it's the other data provider doing it for you. But again, it's a white label. So you have the ability to present this entire service as you doing it for them. You can customize your users' dropdowns. So if your user wants a dropdown by state, or maybe they just want to be able to use the text to put a state, they have that ability. And why would someone want to do the text for the state? Well, you can go GA, NY, NJ, and now you have 3 states you just looked for. Versus if you do a dropdown, you have to do one by one. So there's 2 things right here: column name, column name. So one column we have named as business email, last seen. Other column name is company name. We'll go to the last table we made with that template, but we can see that the same exact filters down here: company name, email, last seen. And you'll also notice there's switches. If you remember the word Boolean, that's what this is, basically true or false. So this would say, does it have a skip trace IP? Yes. Does it have a company phone number? Yes. Does it have a LinkedIn URL? Yes. So you have the ability with your user to customize exactly not just the list they get, but you can customize their experience building the list. When your user finally wants to export any of the data, as long as they have credits that they bought from you, they can go off and buy the list, and it gets emailed to them just like before. But maybe your user is going to get very overwhelmed from 80 columns of information. Now they have the ability to pre-filter what information they want out of the spreadsheet. So if I'm just going to do Facebook marketing, well, maybe I only want the Shay 256 and the phone number, personal phone, my personal email. So now I can export this spreadsheet without any of this other information, which makes the spreadsheet much smaller and a lot easier to manage and let your client upload to their CRM, their dialer, anything like that. They can also push it into Go High Level as well, and you can help them set their Go High Level API up from going into their account. And then they can just simply integrate their API key that is connected to their settings in Go High Level. Here, you have the ability to charge your users a price for this. And what this feature does is it allows your users to send data to other accounts. Let's say David has a package and someone pays David. David obviously does not want to download a list and delete columns, all that nonsense that you'd have to do through the spreadsheet. What David can do is he can just select the list he wants, select the email, change it, and you can change the email real quick just like this. Select email, buy list, just like before, it goes off to that email. And now anytime you want to re-customize the list for somebody, you can customize it again for them, just like this, and remove all the other stuff you don't want them to get, or that they request that you don't give them. Now, the last piece of this whole puzzle, you have the ability to let your user either remove the filter or make it so they can't, remove it from this side. And why would you want to make it so they can't remove certain things? Users get confused easily. And if you want to make sure the first and last name is always going to be attached because you have found, you have the least amount of people coming back with issues, you'll learn as time goes on what mistakes are often had. And then through those mistakes that you learn your users are actually doing, you'll be able to go off and control further along the line how they can use the system. Any questions I can answer right now before I move on?
Yeah. Okay. So my question is this. So white label, flow, I mean, you have to go to agency.avocadata.com to set up your own way. And then once you set up, it goes to your own website, or it goes to avocadata.com.
So that's a good question. When you create an account, $0, $1,000, whatever the account is, you end up on this page every time. You always have to log in first through this login. If you don't, you're going to end up getting like a little spinning circle of death. I go to my Brian at Data to Lead, I log in. I'm off, I'm in my account. Now, you don't have to be subscribed to access to white label. You just hit this admin tab, and that's how you get in. So you have to, if you were to go in through the agency side, like it'll just end up spinning because you're logged out on one side. But someone sent it to me earlier because they had the same thing happen. So just make sure you're going through the APP part, or you're going to run into that issue. Once the white label is all turned on, everything you do in this admin side in here, right? So website customization, any of this ends up getting changed on this homepage. Step one, log in through APP, AvocaData, you go to the admin, and then basically you can go to your domain. So there's three parts of this whole thing. So anything you end up buying on your front end account, you end up getting to resell by default in the white label.
Well, one more question. Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
So say you have a customer wants to customize it. Can your customer go to agency.avocadata.com to manipulate those things, or do I customize for the clients?
So you would have to have it customized in advance. Obviously, if the feature works on the back end, we can make it work up here to let regular clients pre-save lists.
So right now we can just actually offer to your customer what we can offer. There's no way that they can actually customize it.
No,
the one that you showed in agencyavocadata.com.
So no, you have to actually subscribe. So you have to be subscribed to the database in order for your users to see it. Yes.
Right. Okay.
What I was saying was this custom list feature. This is something that you need to do for them, where you can pre-build a list, and that in the next couple of weeks they'll be able to pre-build their list. This is what I thought you were asking originally.
Brian, I had a question regarding intent data. When we are using the intent data now, especially work with the B2B SaaS companies who are data solutions, they are also currently using Google Ads. So can we use the intent data specifically to their keywords to see like which company or individual are looking for their particular solution?
Correct. The way that we have the pricing set up, for $4.99, you get to tell us what combination of keywords you want for a specific database. And then this updates, and every month you can change what words you want because you're not stuck with the same thing every month. So this can be bought for you to use, and you get unlimited. There's no limit. The whole database is yours for the month, and you can resell it to other users through this side of everything. So when you end up buying the database, it ends up attaching over to your purchased database section.
Got it. And Brian, like if I have not consumed, let's say all my credits, right? So can I use it next month as well? Like, do I get a rollover?
It's unlimited actually. So, I mean, you get 1 million a day, and I mean, 1 billion every single day. And there's only 500,000 records that you end up getting subscribed to for the last 9 days. So you end up getting unlimited downloads, being more than 5,000 records in a CSV.
Somebody asked in the chat, and that's a good point, to talk about the suppression when you're downloading, so it automatically suppresses so you don't download the same records twice.
Exactly. So every one sub account child user has a built-in suppression list, and we'll go through the table real quick. So there's a lot of info, and obviously if there's an NA, that means that info does not exist for that user. So we have these switches over on our left side here. I can add these how you want. So I personally always use this, that there's not a skip trace cell phone to remove it basically. So you can make it so everything has to have, LinkedIn URLs, and then you can also, under the employee count.
Got it. And can we do it? Can we also filter it doing the job title as well?
So here's the industry the company's in by the code, industry that the business is in, and here your job title and department. Yeah, and the whole point of the switches is, let's say you want to make sure everybody has a job title. The switch would remove anything with NA. So then you'll just be left with people with job titles.
There you go. Looks like Faraz is next.
Yes. Hi, Brian.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be able to join this meeting. Thank you.
How much should we charge? That's a good question.
Well, we got Randall next in the line of questions. I'll link the packages and stuff like that. Basically, you can get started for $4.99, but Randall's next in the questions. Go ahead, Randall.
Hey, how you doing, Brian? Yes, I'm in the solar industry as well too. I had a specific question about type of leads. Can you guys get like denials, like people that tried to get solar and then got denied?
In terms of Data that's, public source, no. But in terms of if we're looking for someone Googling, I was denied for solar or credit loans for solar, theoretically, what you could do is you'll see there's a credit score rating here, and it's not, it's not like it gives you the number, but it goes in alphabetical order. So theoretically, you could go through the people looking for solar who are, D, E, and F.
Yeah, because there's a new Posse Gen campaign in Jersey that there's no credit check required. Like pretty much everybody gets approved if it gets approved from the utility. That's something I'm like.
That's
That was a gem right there. That's the brilliance of audience engineering, right? Like the idea of going just target everybody who was more than likely already denied. That's a brilliant place.
Yeah, because if they say they have a lower credit score, they're not, because it's about like 660 for a PPA in Jersey, like a 660 depending on the company. But a lot of people got denied, so I just didn't know that. That's good to know.
Yeah, and I would argue you might not even have to do denial. Just do low credit who look for solar, because look for solar, they're in the market. And as time goes on, you'll notice more and more ways to use the data. Like this is the first time I ever in the last 2 weeks applied the credit rating, because usually people come and they're like, oh, I want people with a 680, this, that, the other, and they're looking for numbers, but you get done by letters. And these are all encoded too, of what these are for. It goes into the language, the ethnicity, and this information is pulled from voter registration.
I was going to say, we'll take the question from the chat. It's a great question. Talk about how, businesses that sell these lead services make money with the system.
So we've made that our priority. So our system is designed to charge the data providers to a bigger extent, not the data resellers. So when you guys subscribe to us, all of our packages are unlimited, other than just that list limit. What I personally did when I started doing this 5 years ago, before the system existed that I built, I would sell for $500 a month, 10,000 records, and typically to someone who already did insurance or they were a marketing agency. I will say that people knew what to do with the data. They knew that they were going to plug it into a Facebook audience because they had the SHA-256, or they knew they were going to use Instantly for the email campaign, or maybe they're a call center and they've been doing it for 20 years. There are two types of clients. There's the ones that know exactly what to do out the gate with the data, and those people I'll typically charge a little bit less, actually, because they'll buy a lot more and they'll always come back because I know all of this contact information is really good. Now, if you're going to work with someone who's newer to sales or anything outbound, I would recommend coming up with smaller packages. So a lot of people, like the biggest example I use, and not in any offensive ways, Primerica. People who sell U65 insurance typically had no problem paying $500. I mean, some of them paid $3,000 a month for their whole team. It was not a problem. That was not the case of Primerica users. And for instance, their price point, $79 a month, $99 a month, they would get 500 leads a day. And that price point, they were actually able to make money on. They compared to paying 500 or 1,000 a month. So you can customize and make the package smaller for them. And that's the whole reason I made this a white label, is your client needs something. So you have.
I was going to say, talk about the ability to, your list limit is 5,000, but that doesn't mean that your customer's list limit has to be that much. You can, you can limit their list limit and then upsell packages and reselling the credits. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you get unlimited credits with a list limit of 5,000, and you can subdivide that any way you want. So if you want your users to get only 500 leads a day, you call it the basic plan, start at $79. Credits can be used for any database. And one of the questions someone had earlier, do the credits aggregate? Well, you have the ability to let them aggregate or not, meaning if you want this to go to 1,000 the next day or 1,500 the day after, you'll have a switch to let you do that. So it's all up to you guys, because what we're charging you at the end of the day for is the list limit, because that is when the system actually is spending money looking for data and downloading data. So with all that flexibility, you can do it however you need to. Just bear in mind, there's a list limit that you can resell like pieces of, or you can upgrade it to be able to download more records at the time, or figure out a better way to manage how you're doing it. So if someone has 500 records a day over 30 days, that's 15,000. Then you have to think, okay, if someone were to do that times 100 people, that's 1.5 million records to download on the last day. How will the system work? So there's a lot of things to think about when you're doing the pricing. But if you're keeping it a daily limit that doesn't aggregate, you don't have to worry about that. So
Faraz's question was, what is the connection rate and accuracy of the data?
Okay, so we'll go back here. So this is a book, left to right. So the information that we start with all the way here was the first bit of information we ever learned from these people. So we know there's someone named Costa Newberry, and they live in Michigan. That's the easiest information to get because, it's easily publicly sourced. Now this information you can see now skip traced over here, literally right between postal zip 4 and social connections. And what this skip trace did was it's just connecting all this various information. Now phone numbers, we'll go fast forward all the way to the end of the phone numbers. So it goes again, like I said, in time order. So if we're going to look at this phone right here, personal one, mobile one, these are the very first phone numbers we ever get. This phone number can be 15 years old. This phone number can be 2 years old. Point being is this phone number is always going to follow this person. So when I look for this phone number, there is a chance I might find a updated phone number, which would under skip trace wireless. So you see right here, all these have a skip trace wireless. And I actually pre-filtered it so everyone had a skip trace wireless. So I saved the list like that. In terms of the percentages, I rate them like this in terms of how the barometer. What percentage of the phone numbers that ring do not end up hitting any voicemail? The ones that just ring and ring and ring and ring and ring. Those are the numbers that I go off of a percentage to determine how good a data set is. So if we were going to go look at these skip trace numbers, only about 3% of them do that. Now, I can't tell you if you're calling what time of the day, if people are going to answer the phone, and I have people sometimes mad at me that people don't answer the phone. That I cannot control. But I can tell you between 3 and 5% of these numbers just ring and don't hit any voicemail. However, these numbers, the very first number we ever got on the person, this is about 30%. So that's the way I gauge the data. Some people still like to use this because they have various reasons to use it. But if it were me and I was doing texting, for instance, I would always just use the skip trace wireless because it's, it's valid. We know it's active. You don't have to run any wireless checks on it, basically.
Fantastic. So it looks like we've got all the questions answered so far. Any other questions from anyone? I appreciate you guys participating. This has been awesome for the inaugural AMA. All right. Do you want to cover that last solar thing? This can be a real learning experience then for people that are interested in this, and then we can wrap this up.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes, I am so sorry. I was muted. All right, there's a few questions I have to get through. So let's go in order. So what's the special? So Razik, the special is that we have 50% off our annual right now. So the normal price $499, the annual would work out to $6,000, and right now we're doing it for $3,000 for everyone that's here. And what you get is the unlimited leads. You can pick a new database every month, which means you can include different keywords. You also get access to the homeowner and business databases, unlimited credits. So you get one intent database, and we're also throwing in unlimited downloads from the homeowner database and the business database. So you are able to do all those different things, and this includes reselling any of the data. So normally it's $6,000, it's $3,000 for this. And Justin asked, how does this tie into music? It ties into music because we will custom build anything it is that you need to download as far as data. So we can very quickly with our partners. Go ahead, Akeem.
I was just going to say, I can talk about how I'm using it in music right now on multiple levels, right? We're using it if we use it for artists that we're touring to help sell tickets. Right now, I'm using it for 2 high-level vocal coaches that have coached a bunch of big stars for a lot of years, and they're starting to spin up some online coursework and some things that they can do to where they can take on more clients, and they're starting to reach them. And then now we're starting to do some test cases with 2 labels on establishing and breaking new artists. So I think intent data can be used in just about any field. It's just about where you sort of fit into the equation and how you need to leverage.
Is there a tutorial available in the portal?
Yeah, I have to send myself the link to the community. We just set up a new community in Go High Level, moving away from school. A little bit easier with Go High Level, I think. But yeah, there's about 50 courses that I have put together in the last couple of days. Let me just get this link open.
Drop it in the chat here when you get it. And so we're working on streamlining and organizing a lot of that. One of the reasons, again, that we're adopting this format is it's really important for us to hear from you guys. And so, as we go on and as we continue to smooth out the user experience and the user interface, we all the feedback, all the ideas. I've heard a few things that I've made some notes on that I think, we can maybe even go a little further with. So it's real exciting. Again, I just appreciate everybody taking a part in this. if question from Franklin, if he gave us 50,000 keywords, can you use it to build a list? You can. I mean, the amount of data you're going to get is tremendous. I don't know how you'd filter or get through it or narrow it down to do what you're trying to do. I guess it depends on the sector, and again, how you're using, but you certainly can take 50,000 keywords and use it to do an intent data pull. And it would just be an enormous amount of data. And I don't know. I will tell you, we have a client who's an exterminator who tried to sort of bulk all of their keywords together, and it worked pretty good, except for they realized that if they segment it out a little bit and make it separate polls, they can really hyper focus on each of the audiences and each of the segments. So they get more value of it that way, but to each his own, man.
And I just dropped that community link in the group below. I mean, in the messages below. So now you can access this. It's making me put a picture in of myself. I like how it's not giving me the option not to use a picture.
Yeah, bro. You're gonna have to show yourself at some point. You're gonna have to brush your hair. You're gonna have to stop working long enough to brush your hair.
Yeah, right. Not just that. I need to shave my head. I've had too much hair. So okay, my picture's cookies. So yeah, here's the course. I'm gonna drop this directly into, because this is very, very, very good. It's very detailed. It goes over everything: how to buy data, how to sell data, how to white label data, how to create an agency plan, how to find a customer, how to select a database to assign to a user. Basically, everything you can imagine is in here. How do we sell pest control intent leads? So we're going to be building a section on basically every type of lead list we're doing. And any ideas you guys have, we can turn this into a course. Like, the biggest thing is I want to try to train you guys is how to sell this info. Like, there's a few things you're going to run into, right? There's, like I said, there's the guys that know what they're doing already and the guys that don't. So that's where you're going to have to find the best sweet spot to upsell them, whether it's email marketing, phone number lists, or mailing lists. And there's a whole course here, how to build the databases. So we're getting this together so you guys can understand how to construct your own databases from scratch. And I also want to send you guys the YouTube channel, because we add a lot to this. A lot of you guys are already here, but just in case.
Faraz, we'll call you immediately after this wraps up at the top of the hour here. Kush, I will reach out to you immediately after that, and we will have a chat and get you situated. There's a question about the username and password, Brian, in the chat that I think you can answer.
Yeah, Diane, are you talking about how do you log in to your white label version, like your dashboard, the My Lead Gen list, or what example are you talking about?
No, I was talking about the group. Do we use the same username and password for that?
No, that's a new group. Do you have Go High Level set up already? Like, do you have?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just, you just log into your own Go High Level and
okay.
It'll, attach it real quick.
Perfect.
And the MLM ones, I'm still trying to figure out, like, that I'm going to get you together with Rob, because it's an interesting list that we're trying to find. And he was asking me a lot of questions, so
yes,
I'll get you linked in with him. All right, any other questions for now?
Yeah, this has been really good. This has been super productive, and I'm excited. This is a great start. So again, every Wednesday, I encourage everyone to share this link or these scheduled events with friends who you think can definitely benefit from this, or team members who may have questions of their own as far as their function and utility within your ecosystem and this platform. So it's certainly, we're here to be helpful. And like Brian said in the chat, everybody invite 5 people. Let's grow this thing. Let's turn it into a really powerful community. We're going to be here every Wednesday. We're going to be taking the questions and really trying to address things head on and provide the tools and utilities you guys are looking for. And we built this stuff for you. So
yeah, it wasn't built from a tech guy with an idea. It was built by the users, basically, through our own experience. So any other questions? Oh, Roger, how to add bonus credits to a user? Let me think a second. Is that possible? So actually, I'll touch on this. So there's a feature called bonus credits, and what this is basically, if it doesn't actually apply technically right now, Roger, because everything's unlimited. So I won't even go over this right now. Is what this would be is, let's say a data provider made their database not unlimited to you. You would have to pre-buy credits for that database, but I'll take care of that for you, Roger. But in terms of how to add it to a user, that I actually do not think I have the ability to do on this side yet. I have to tell the developers to add it, but let's take a password, edit credit card. I think that bills them. I don't want to bill them. Oh, yep, don't want to bill the card. So theoretically, what you'd be able to do, Roger, I'm gonna have to tell them to add the button. That's the only way
Yeah,
to do it.
we can fix this. This is not a complex thing. So let's hopefully what we'll be doing next week in the AMA is demoing this feature. If not, a week after. Meanwhile, let's start winding this thing down. And again, I really appreciate everybody's participation, everybody who showed up, everybody who asked questions. I think there's a bunch of great questions. I hope everybody got a lot out of this. And if there's anything either Brian or myself can do along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out and set up a call with us. We're here to help and get things going. And like I said, Brian, we'll call Razik at the top of the hour here. And then Kush, I will reach out to you shortly after that. So give me about 30 minutes and I'll follow up with you as well. And there, Brian just dropped the email address, info@DataToLeads. Brian, you got any closing statements before we button this up? We will be making these available, by the way. These are recorded. We'll also be probably clipping and aggregating some of this stuff because, again, some really great information. So thanks for all your questions.
Yeah, guys, thank you. One thing I know I want to start doing, I want to start having basically an interview with one person a week to record, because then I can do announcements of someone's new agency. So I want to try to get that organized, like by next meeting, so we can start doing that by New Year.
Let's target January to debut the first one. Let's focus on helping these guys and anyone else who needs help get their stuff squared away and running smooth. And again, I appreciate it. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Meanwhile, don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything we can do to help. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.